is my song. Happy Monday, everybody. Come on in. Welcome to Periscope Monday. It's not really how they say Monday, but that's how I said it today. Come on in. Got some Bethel, some Stephanie Gretzinger singing King of My Heart. Hey, Jill, my friend. Connecticut is in the house. Good. Lynette is in. Jeremy, what's up, man? Kaylee from Michigan. Bluegrass State. Woohoo! San Diego, Wichita. Come on in. All right, 2 seconds to share this. We're going to talk about your gallbladder today. Arguably, probably one of the most non-understood organs that are taken out way too much. But we're going to talk about what it does, how to know if something's wrong. All right. Swipe left, swipe up. Share this with your peeps if you think it's important. You did meet me at conference. I'm so glad. Hey, Oregon, Phoenix, Virginia. Thank you guys for getting on. I love being able to connect with all you guys all over the U.S. in one finger tap. It's the best. Iowa, California, awesome. Hey, Noreen, first, but watch you always on iTunes. Well, thanks for getting on live. All right, here we go. I love this song. This song. She's fixing to light it up. Watch, listen to this. You ready? I'm going to talk about it if you had runs. Here it goes. She's fixing to take off. All right. You all in? You're the bomb? No, you guys are. Website? Just because I want to hear this part. Good. If you want other videos, go to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Here it is. Here she goes. Woo! And she takes off. Love it. One of my favorite versions of this song. Oh, y'all are awesome. Disclaimer, I am not covering your junk today. I can't. So I can help you with that. If you want to call me, you can do that. Today we're going to talk about this organ. This song. Let's do it. I don't even want to turn it off. You know what I mean? So good. I'll post it on Facebook after for you guys, all right? That way you guys can jam out to it. Because if we're all trying to do better every single day, one of the things you have to do is you have to handle your stress levels, no matter what. Whether you're talking about gallbladder function, whether you're talking about marriage, whether you're talking about communication, and worship music is where it's at to help you with that. Music is huge, huge. Okay. So I'm Dr. Jim Bob Haggerton. Thank you guys so much for getting on. If you're on replay, this is a live video, so don't freak out and don't worry about it being all weird. I'm letting everybody get in, me talking to random people. So thank you for taking time out and digging in and learning more about your health and how it works. So today, we're going to be talking about your gallbladder. I did a video on this before, but I want to redo it because I've had a lot of people ask me questions about it. And we are going to talk about if you've had Christina has it and she wants to keep it. That's right, girl. We're going to talk about if you've had it taken out because a lot of people have had their gallbladders removed. Sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes it's not. I mean, that's just reality. So we'll talk about that and what happens if you've had it out and one of the things you need to really think about and that kind of stuff. Okay? Today, told by your gastro, you have a slow gallbladder. Well, Tracy, that's possible. I'll talk about what can happen and make it slower as we go. All right. So let's talk about function first. What is the purpose of your gallbladder and why is it necessary? Now, you've been told, a lot of you guys, that the gallbladder is not really that necessary and it doesn't really do that much. So if you take it out, it's not that big a deal. Well, that's not true. And your body's created perfectly, and every part of your body is purposeful. Every part of your body was put there intentionally by the Father. And so you don't have junk inside you. There are no spare parts. And the organ is very important. Now, if you have had it out, there are some things that you can do to help make sure your body's working better. I will give you that. Don't freak out. There's grace for all those things. But here's what it does, and I'm going to give you the process on what happens. The gallbladder helps you break down all of your fats that you're eating on a daily basis and helps you process them so you can actually absorb the fats you're eating and use them inside the body. Without the gallbladder, you cannot do this well at all. Like ever again, your liver will try to take over part of the function and do some of it for you, but it's still not the same thing. So here's what happens, all right? You ready for me to break it down? All right, so let's say that we eat a hamburger or you eat an avocado or whatever the fat is. It doesn't matter whether it's an animal-based fat or a plant-based fat. You eat that fat, you don't get any digestion in the mouth. It passes the mouth, passes the gut, but when that fat hits the gut and the fat enters into your stomach, the stomach's like, hey, we've got fat in here. There's fat that just got in here. And it sends a signal and it knocks on the door and it yells through this little signal. You know, like at the playground when you have those communication pipes where you talk into a pipe and then over here the pipe, they can hear it and they talk back and forth. This is what the stomach does to the gallbladder. It's like, there's fat in here. We need help with the fat inside the stomach. So the gallbladder goes, oh, well, I can help with that. And it sends out, right? There's this hormone that gets sent out called cholecystokinin. Don't even worry about that. That's just what it is. That tells the gallbladder to release bile. This is important. B-I-L-E. Bile. Now, that bile gets mixed with the fats inside your stomach as it's entering into the small intestine, and it thins the fats out, it emulsifies them, makes it really thin so that you can absorb them into the lining of your small intestine. Okay? And so what happens is you really don't overall digest all of your fats. It just doesn't get broken down that way. You thin them out and you absorb them through. Now, one of you guys asked me a question on there and I wanted to answer it and then I lost it. We'll come back to it. I'll answer some questions at the very end. All right? I know what you just asked me. You asked me if Gall Stones were hereditary. Well, let's talk about what that is first off, okay? And then I'll talk about heredity and genetics and how that plays into possible gallbladder issues. So let's talk about the three areas first. Let's talk about the three areas first where problems can come from and show up in your gallbladder. Belinda, I'll answer that question for you because gallstones happen a lot and I'll explain why. All right. Thank you, Belinda. That's a great question. All right. So problems in the gallbladder come from three main areas: diet, hormone imbalance, and chronic stress. Isn't chronic stress pretty much related to almost everything? I mean, I think you guys are probably sick of me going, hey, it's part of your chronic stress. And you're like, oh. And I get it, but I'm going to keep saying it until you start doing something about it. I'm going to keep saying it until you guys really take it seriously and start affecting it, because chronic stress over time will create congestion and sluggishness in the gallbladder. They've proven this because chronic stress over time increases estrogen. If there's too much estrogen inside your system, there's abnormal amounts of estrogen, then it can make the bile really thick and really goopy. And so it makes the gallbladder not process well, and it makes the gallbladder not want to cycle through as well as it did before. Okay? Now, we're going to talk about what can come up with that. Now, diet, the dietary things that can create stressors, there's two main issues, right? One is junk foods, the typical thing like junk food and having issues with eating crappy foods. Susanna, the pregnancy issue, that's a great question. Ask me in just a second. I'll explain why it's bothering you because there's a specific reason why. Yep, Courtney, I'll explain it. Why pregnancy brought it up. There's a very simple reason why. You basically had problems for a while, but I'll show you why. So during on the dietary part, the thing about the diet is either A, it's junk food, right? Or it's a lack of consistent fats in your diet. This is a pretty typical thing. A lot of you guys, I do this too. I mean, we still do this, even though we try to be really consistent with our fats inside our diet, Cindy and I. But one of the things that's pretty typical in our culture is having a lot of fat or no fat. It's not really consistent fats inside your diet. You understand what I'm saying? Like, especially in the healthy group. It's like, yes, it is okay to eat paleo with no gallbladder. You just may need some support. I'm going to show you how. So this is pretty typical schedule or diet schedule during a typical American's diet, even if they're trying to be healthy. You get up in the morning, you'll have some decent fats for breakfast possibly. Then you may go through lunch, and lunch is like really clean. Let's say you have a salad and you have hardly any fats on it at all, if any. You go all the way through. Let's say you eat a really clean dinner. All of a sudden the next day, you have a little bit of fats, and then for lunch you eat a pizza and you get a ton of fat, or you have a burger, like a double meat burger with cheese or something. You see what I'm saying? And you get a load of fat all at one time, instead of a little bit of intentional fats in every single meal, because, don't make me laugh, Kelly, because the gallbladder needs the consistent stimulation of those fats in order to keep the circulation going. Okay, so that's very important as we talk about the problems that come up next. Okay, so the 3 different areas again. Let me show you one more time where the problems in the gallbladder come from. Okay, 3 different areas. Yep. I will totally explain the breastfeeding part. Diet, hormone imbalance, and stress, chronic stress. Okay, 3 main types of issues that I'll talk about today, and then we'll relate it to pregnancy and stuff, so make sure to remind me if I get off on a tangent. But there's 3 different main issues that come up in the gallbladder that create, you're welcome, that create problems, and then you start to have issues in the function and start to have symptoms. And I'm going to explain the symptoms as well. 3 main things, okay? 1, congestion. Congestion would also be considered the slow gallbladder. So the slower gallbladder is usually a congested gallbladder where the bile gets really thick, it's really sluggish, and it's having a hard time processing the bile and helping move everything through. Now, cholecystitis here, okay? So that's why being female is one of the 5 F's of gallbladder issues. That's exactly right, because of the estrogen, okay? That's huge. So cholecystitis is inflammation in the gallbladder. Hi, Nova Scotia. It's inflammation in the gallbladder where over time, if it's not processing well, just like if your knee's not moving right, it's going to get inflamed. Well, you can get inflammation in the gallbladder, okay? That gets to be uncomfortable. The third thing that can happen is called cholelithiasis, which are gall stones, okay? Gall stones. Now, this is kind of a progression. This is really kind of the progression of what ends up happening. You will get congestion, which means that either your diet's not consistent or you're in really chronic stress, or your hormones are just off the charts, whacked out, and it's making the bile really thick and it's harder for it to process. The longer that congestion is in there, the more the gallbladder has to work in order to move some of the fluid through, which can create inflammation. Now you start getting irritation. Now it's starting to hurt. You're starting to get achiness when you eat. You're starting to get some different issues when you're eating certain meals. You're starting to notice that when you eat a burger, you're getting back pain. Because one of the telltale signs, and I'm going to show you again a couple of other ways to test yourself, but one of the telltale signs of you having a gallbladder issue, okay, a gallbladder issue is pain under your right shoulder blade. If you have pain consistently under your right shoulder blade, you might have gallbladder congestion or gallbladder inflammation. That's very, very common. So if I have a female, right? If I have a female. And a female is having problems with, if a female is having problems with right shoulder blade pain, and she's between the ages of 30 and 40, then I immediately start supporting her gallbladder. And so that's something that you really want to pay attention to. So don't discount it. Oh, my shoulder blade's just sore again. That's something that is a signal to give you an idea that something's going on. That's why I tell you guys all the time that symptoms are just a roadmap that you can really use to kind of get an idea of what you need to work on, as long as you understand what's going on with the symptoms. All right? Okay. Yes. Chef Tammy says, my gallbladder attack resembled a female heart attack. ER doctor thought it was a heart attack. Exactly. It looks like it, it sounds like it, but it's not, because of how much it affects the rib cage. It's so huge. And that's like the last stage of what can really happen, is having a full-on what they call gallbladder attack, which what that is when you have enough inflammation. Left shoulder blade pain is probably either left shoulder blade or it could be shoulder problems in the front radiating through. But the specific radiating point from the gallbladder, it's a literal referral point, is under the right shoulder blade, period. And so that's a big deal. Connie, the other thing, left shoulder blade, sometimes it can be either appendix or pancreas. Normally it's just muscular there though. Right shoulder blade is typically gallbladder. If it's consistent, if it doesn't go away with you doing typical, massage and chiropractic and other things, for those muscles and stuff. All right, so the last stage, like I said, is if the stones get in there and they build up, because with congestion in there for a long period of time, that congestion can turn into these gall stones, and the stones can get really big. I mean, they can get to be the size of the end of my thumb. literally the size of the end of my thumb. But here's one thing that I want you to understand. Just because you have gallstones doesn't mean your gallbladder is broken and you need to take it out. I think I'm going to drop a mic on that. Just because it's impacted, just because there's things going on, does not mean that you have to have it out. That gallbladder could still be working. Gallstones are a totally different makeup than kidney stones. Hear me on this. Kidney stones are calcium deposit. Kidney stones are really sharp. They're like rocks and like shards of glass inside your ureters and inside the kidneys or inside the bladder. Gallstones are not like that. If you take a gallstone and you mash it, it's like mushy. You can like smash it and it'll like mush everywhere because it's just fatty deposits that did not get processed through your gallbladder. Okay? Totally different. There's things that you can do diet-wise to help dissolve them, help move that circulation through. We'll talk about a couple supplements. The first thing on there, Mommy, that you talked about, I won't talk about today. We'll talk about tomorrow, okay? Because we're talking about conditions at the same time. Make sense? So we'll go over that tomorrow. All right. So what are the symptoms of gallbladder issues? Well, if you have excess gas, like bloating issues or just excess gas period, like all the time. And again, there's like the 5 F's. It's like female, fertile female with flatulence over the age of 40. And there's one other one. I can't remember the fifth. But like a typical like textbook would be a fertile 40-year-old female with flatulence. Fat, yes. A fertile, fat female, overweight female that's fertile and has flatulence. Yes, thank you. Nut 40, that's perfect. That is a typical textbook, but everything, I mean, anybody can get gallbladder congestion. You were 15, see? So you can get gallbladder. So let's talk about genetics on it real quick before we get into, see, you got this. You guys are remembering. So let's talk about genetics on this just a little bit, because genetically, and this is with anything, genetically, if someone, if, you know, like your grandmother or your mom had gallstones, are you going to get gallstones? Not necessarily, but if they all had gallbladder issues, could you possibly have a tendency of having gallbladder weakness or weakness in the liver and the gallbladder system that can make it harder for you to process fats? Yeah, then that could be totally a thing. Absolutely. But that doesn't mean that you're going to get stones. Doesn't mean that you're going to need to have yours out. So just make sure it's way more environment. It's way more what you're putting in and how you're processing your stressors that affects the gallbladder more than your genetics ever did. Okay, so that's important. Keep that in mind. So the main things, like the main 4 symptoms that really come up that are consistent: gas, bloating, consistent diarrhea, and pain. Diarrhea and pain. This pain is the one that most people finally actually do something about. Like they don't realize it's their gallbladder. They don't realize that it's their gallbladder, and all of a sudden they're getting like abdomen pain and pain through their right shoulder blade, and they don't do anything about it because they think it's just muscle tension. And then they go into a full-on gallbladder attack. When that happens, what goes on is the gallbladder contracts. It's like a Charlie horse or a pulled a hamstring in your gallbladder. Yes, I'll talk about the gallbladder removal on that Nut 40 for sure. Okay, so we can cover what you can do on that. All right, so that's the kind of the 4 main things that'll really happen with it. Okay, now let me give you guys a couple of other ways to test out, to test yourself on whether or not you're having gallbladder things, like gallbladder stuff going on. Yeah, you felt like you were stabbed. 3 attacks until they figured it out. Exactly. Because most people don't understand how it works. Major heartburn can come up with it as well. It's exactly right. Like a contraction. It's like being on your cycle or being pregnant. Okay? For either one, either man or woman can have the exact same thing. It felt like a heart attack deep in your chest. Exactly. But if they don't do anything about it or help with circulation, here's what they medically do a lot of times. This is like the worst thing you could do. You go into the hospital or you're going to the doctor and you're having all these issues. You tell them, even if they figure out it's your gallbladder, what do they tell you to do? Excuse me, ma'am. I think you have gallbladder congestion. We want you to stop eating all fats. Discontinue the eating of any fats in your diet right now. Thank you. That is the worst thing you do. The worst possible thing you can do is to stop eating fats, because when you stop eating fats, you stop that consistent circulation through the gallbladder, and you'll build up pressure. You'll start to build up all this back pressure, like kinking a water hose and the water building up pressure. Well, what happens when you kink a water hose for so long and all of a sudden you unkink it? It goes whoosh and it rushes really quick. Well, the gallbladder can do that. If you don't eat fats and all of a sudden you're like, man, I feel a whole lot better. Whew, the reason you had 3 attacks till they finally figured it out is you just like didn't eat a lot because you didn't feel good. Then all of a sudden you went and had another pizza or you had a burger and then boom, and then it contracted again and then you're in a real bad problem, okay? All right, so 2 different self-checks that you can do that it'll kind of tell you whether you're having gallbladder congestion or not. One is you take your right hand, okay? Take your right hand, and in the web of your hand right here, there is a trigger point, okay? There's a trigger point for the gallbladder area. So what you do is you literally take your thumb and your hand like this, and you're going to pinch that area. So you don't come way back here. You literally come and show you that you come right here to where you're kind of off of that muscle, okay? You're off of the muscle. And you put pressure and you hold tension down right there. If that's really tender, if you're like, ow, and you can barely put pressure in the web of your right hand, that is a sign that you're getting gallbladder congestion, okay? Right hand rule, you got it. So right hand right there, you put pressure just right there. That will give you a clue as to if you're getting congestion or not, okay? The other thing you can do is, I'm going to turn this screen down a little bit to show you, is you come under your right rib cage. Typically, you would have somebody do this on you, but you can do this yourself. But you want to lay down, okay? You want to lay down, and here's my right rib cage. Your gallbladder is underneath this right rib cage, okay? And so what you're doing, okay, is you take a deep breath in, and then as you breathe out, you start putting pressure under your rib cage. You start putting pressure into that area, and so you go pressure, you go deep breath in, all the way out. You put pressure up and in under that rib cage, and as soon as you get all the way out, hold tension, and then take a really quick deep breath in. And when you take a really deep breath in really quickly, if you get sharp pain, that's bad. You shouldn't, and it should not be that painful. That's another clue that your gallbladder is congested. Okay, so what do we do? All right, lifestyle changes. Let's talk about it. Lifestyle changes, and then we're going to talk about if you have your gallbladder taken out too. Can gallbladder issues mimic rheumatoid arthritis? No, but what they can do, My White 2016, gallbladder issues can lead to rheumatoid arthritis because you're not processing your fats. One of the issues with autoimmunity and with rheumatoid arthritis is a lack of good fats in the body, and so you can't regulate inflammation. And so if you're not regulating inflammation, it goes crazy inside all your joints, and then you're like, bleh, and it gets worse, right? So gallbladder issues wouldn't mimic it, it would add to it, or it could lead to it. Does that make sense? So that's where the connection would be on that. Lifestyle changes. Let's do diet. Diet changes. Consistent fat in each meal. Make sure you're eating good fats, but just don't eat tons in every meal. And if you do, I'll give you a couple of products to help you break it down. Okay. Smaller meals. Making sure that you're not eating as much, so there's not as much to process. Beets, kale, and Brussels sprouts. Beets, kale, and Brussels sprouts. These are all 3 vegetables that help to dissolve congestion out of the gallbladder. They help to increase phase 1 detox in the liver so that you can increase the circulation and the processing in there, and it'll really help with overall function in those glands. Juicing beets and using beets in your smoothies and stuff, really great way to get those enzymes. Fantastic way, all right? The other 2 things, lifestyle-wise, is things that you should be doing anyway: hydration and decreasing stress, okay? Hydration and decreasing stress. What would be an example of consistent fat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Well, for breakfast, like if you're having eggs or bacon, you're getting fats that way. If you're not, and you're just you're having cereal, which I don't recommend, but if you're going to have it, you're going to have granola, use whole milk. Don't use fat-free milk, okay? Why would lemon juice relieve your symptoms? Because lemon juice helps with the circulation as well. Lemon juice helps to take pressure away, and sometimes lemon juice for a long period of time will soften the stones up, okay? Ghee is good, you can do that. Coconut oil, using that to cook in consistently is good. Raw milk is fantastic if you can do that. Having avocados with all your salad, using olive oil on stuff. When you have meat, don't have 100% lean meat, have a little bit of meat with a little bit of fat on it. That kind of thing, okay? Lemon oil in water, like the lemon from the oil, like the lemon itself. Do fresh lemon in your water. Lemon juice makes a huge difference. We'll talk about that, Chef Tammy, tomorrow. But the lemon juice is huge, okay, to really help with it overall. How bad is a congestion problem? Well, just it causes pain and it can give you issues with it. It's just a signal that things aren't perfect and you want to take care of it, right? You want to take care of it. If you eat too much, Lynn, if you eat too much healthy fat, you'll get diarrhea. Like it'll just go right through you, so you'll know. Okay, supplements. 3 supplements to help with gallbladder congestion. Why am I so smart? I'm not so smart. I just like to read. I love the body, and I am crazy passionate about physiology. You know, I'm not that smart. I'm not the smartest guy around. There's plenty of guys that are smarter than me, but I understand physiology and I understand function, and I love it because I think it's fascinating, because I love to learn and to study how the Lord made our body. Like, God made it perfectly. So if you know this, you can help your body work the way it's supposed to. That's the whole point, okay? All right, so 3 supplements, all from Standard Process. Apple cider vinegar does help. It'll help to kind of soften the stones up as well, but it's good. It also helps with acid balance in the body. Hey, Marcy. Okay, 3 supplements from Standard Process that help with this, and then I'll speak to if you've had your gallbladder out, okay? The other support that you guys have asked me about, we're going to talk about tomorrow, all right? We got to do it separate. Okay, so 3 different supplements, all from Standard Process. Number 1 is Colacol. Take a picture of this. Colacol, C-H-O-L-A-C-O-L, okay? Colacol. Number 2, AF Beta Food. I'm going to explain what they are. AF Beta Food. Number 3, Livaplex, okay? Livaplex. All of these are Standard Process. Okay, now, Colacol is a bile salt replacement supplement. There are other supplements out there for you. Now, hear me on this. If you have had your gallbladder taken out, whether you feel it or not, you are not processing your fat correctly. Some people have their gallbladder taken out and they have constant diarrhea. Marcy, I'll hold it up again. Hold on. They have constant diarrhea. They have constant, digestive issues, blah, blah, blah. Some people have their gallbladder taken out and they're like, I feel great, and they have no symptoms anymore. That doesn't mean you're processing your fats correctly. It could lead to hormone issues later on because you need all of your cholesterol in order to process your hormones. It can lead to joint support issues later on. It can lead to soft tissue issues later on. There's a lot of things that could happen, so you want to make sure you're processing your fats. You've got to stay on fish oil consistently. You've got to get the fats in, but if you're not breaking it down, then you need help. You need a bile salt, B-I-L-E, salt replacement supplement. That's what Colacol is. There's other ones on the market. Now, for those of you dealing with congestion or stones, this supplement right here, AF Beta Food, AF Beta Food is a beet enzyme supplement. It's concentrated beet enzymes. And the beet enzyme helps to eat out the congestion and eat down stones and stuff that can build up in there. And so this is a fantastic one. Now, if you are pregnant, there is another one. It's just Beta Food. And so if you're pregnant, you don't want the AF Beta Food because it's got a little bit more vitamin A in it to support the liver. So if you're pregnant, you want to have Beta Food, okay? Beta Food. Now, since I brought up pregnancy, why are gallbladder problems more common during pregnancy? Why does that happen? Well, there's 2 reasons. One very simple one, another one that's a little bit more complicated. The one very simple reason is because you have a baby growing inside your stomach that is creating pressure on all the organs inside your abdominal cavity. There's less space, there's less room. And so when the uterus puts pressure up on the liver and the gallbladder, if it's already got stones in it and congestion and you start mashing on it, it can get irritated, it can get angry, and you can start to have an attack. That's one. That's the simple reason. Just no more room. Period. Increased intrathecal pressure is what it's called. The second thing is the estrogen. That's exactly right. The second reason is because of the estrogen, okay? Because you have increased estrogen, specifically at the beginning of pregnancy, as your fertility goes up and as you're implanting, and high estrogen creates more gallbladder congestion or sluggishness in the gallbladder, okay? So that's a big deal. Which is really fascinating because Colacol is totally okay when you while nursing. Beta Food, not AF, would be fine while nursing because you're not going to process that into the breast milk. You're literally just working on circulation. And again, consistent fats is huge, okay? Now, here's one thing that's really interesting to me because if you look at this, if you look at the way that estrogen works for the females that are on here, you have higher estrogen during the first half of your cycle, right? First 14 to 16 days-ish. Watch this. During the first half of the cycle, when you have all of your estrogen spiking, that's when premenstrual syndrome, PMS, or PMDD, that's when you have the most issues starting right there. And what do you do during that part of the cycle? During the first half, that's when you crave junk food. When your estrogen is highest, when your gallbladder is more congested, when the bile is thick and sluggish, and when you have all of this stuff that's going on, your estrogen's higher and making that organ not process as well as what it should. You see it? And so it's a prime time to build up congestion and stones because of your estrogen already being up. So really pay attention to that. Okay. The last one on here, Livoplex, good overall support. Good support for the liver or gallbladder, because if you have had your gallbladder taken out, or if the gallbladder is just not working well, okay? Joe, block them, okay. And if your gallbladder is just not working well, the liver will try to take over function. Okay, so the liver is going to do what the gallbladder didn't as much as it can, but the liver's already doing so many things. Okay, the liver's already doing so much stuff. Okay, and so if the liver's already overwhelmed and the gallbladder can't do its work, then the liver may not do as much as you need. Now you're going to have symptoms and stuff like that. Okay, bam, there you go. Boom! Mic drop, just like that. Okay, just like that. There are gallbladder flushes that are online that you can do too. I know that Hulda Clark, you can get on Google, type in Hulda, H-U-L-D-A, Clark. She's a naturopathic doctor. Has got a gallbladder protocol. You just got to be careful with that one. With any flushes, just be careful with them. Make sure that you know what you're doing with them, that you get help with it. Make sure that you don't have so many stones in there that there's other issues. And so you just want to make sure and look at it. All the products that I gave you, MindWire from Standard Process, we will talk about that tomorrow, because I can't talk about it on this one. Okay, we'll talk about that tomorrow. Plano Sales Chick, we'll talk about that tomorrow. Okay? Doctor said yours could have burst. You know, with as much stones can build up in there, you should see it. It's called a bag of diamond appearance. It can tear the gallbladder if it gets so congested and all the stuff. So, yeah, you want to get on it early on, you know. The one for removed is Colacol. Birth control pills, yes, will increase congestion and can make you have more gallbladder issues because of the excess estrogen. Yep, because of the excess estrogen, absolutely. Medication, specifically birth control, is a huge issue, or a huge factor in gallbladder issues. Absolutely. Okay? Yeah, and then if you have congestion and you have problems with it, then exercise is going to increase the pain, Tina, for sure. Okay? Can this make an issue with being able to process raw veggies and or red meat? For sure, on the red meat, on the raw veggies, it won't, but it will build up more pressure if you're not getting fats with it. Okay, so good. Better to support gallbladder than doing a flush at the beginning. You want to support it, then you can do a flush. All right, you guys are fantastic. And so I want you guys to just look at it, pay attention to your body, be intentional, and you're going to catch it early enough and your body can do what it needs to. If you have it, there's grace for you. If you have your gallbladder out, there's grace for you. But again, let me know if you need help. I do phone consults. I would totally help you. Just contact the office and I'll totally help you figure out what's going on and get a protocol set up so that you can balance it out. Okay? You guys are amazing. The diarrhea thing does come up, so make sure that you're supporting it. Good, good, good. Christina, you're awesome. All right. Y'all take care. Jam out today. Go worship. Go chill out. Go help those stress levels. We'll talk to you guys soon. Remember, health is simple. It's just not easy. Love you guys.